mobile, all has the ability to become a smart wearable. As in the case of the machine, a wearable also, when it is connected with the sensors and microcomputers, suddenly became a smart wearable. So through the internet, the machine started connecting with the wearable. So wearable either started giving a virtual reality imagery of the process performance, or the device screens were able to provide the performance. So given those conditions, what eventually happened was the machine operator machine communication became a reality. That is because of the smart machines, and the smart wearable got connected to the internet backbone. Now, once this has been achieved, the next challenge is, okay, it was a technological marvel. We achieved it. Now, what value it provides to us? For that question, many of the shows that has happened in many developed nations, we have seen in the morning examples of Adidas and Maserati at different maturity levels, showing off their IIoT abilities. Now, given those conditions, what we learn from those cases is these smart machines and smart wearables together were able to reduce the product quality issues. The machines got their downtimes reduced. Then, because of the intelligent production planning, the inventory also got reduced. So all the three reductions helped the production houses to reduce the cost of quality. This reduction in the cost of quality got translated into reduction of turnaround time. And that turnaround time reduction is what the organizations, or rather the production houses, utilize to increase the productivity. So the CPS has definitely increased the productivity on paper. The other side of the story is, because of the cellularity and modularity convenience, that it provided us with the ability to conserve the fuel. Fuel wastage got reduced. Greenhouse gas emissions got reduced. And most of these technologies are utilizing cloud computing. So the capital cost also reduced. So all those elements of sustainability gave some savings. So the productivity increase provided revenue, sustainability efforts gave savings. Together came up as a helpful force to provide the customer with an ability to be served with even batch size of 1. That is the highest level of customization, technically now being called as customerization. So the level at which now the production houses are moving it is to provide the customers with products that meet their unique demand. This is possible because of most of these optimizations that has happened as part of the CPS, or the cyber physical production systems. Now, the whole cyber-physical production system is driven by these smart devices and internet. Therefore, the driving force is data. So, core of CPS is data. But when we talk about data, the fanciful big data analytics comes into picture. Okay, however it may be, data is the most elementary thing. If you have good data, anyway, big data analytics is possible. But that's where the challenge is. Data creates challenges. When we look at the big data part, definitely we need very, very advanced algorithms, very, very advanced visualization techniques, which indirectly means we need better processors, we need better hardware, we need better competent professionals to handle this analytics. Well, from the data side, heterogeneity of the data is a big concern. How does the heterogeneity happen? Now we know that in a manufacturing environment, the data could be coming in the form of electrical signals, it could be digital signals, it could be different physical states. All these wide variety of data, there is no universally agreeable translation protocol existing. There is no single platform which enables interoperability. So that itself brings in a huge amount of challenge. While having said this, so much of fantasies are being weaved around it. Beyond the fantasies, as we move into the realities, we first see the human being's part. The way I see it, when we have smart machines and smart wearables, these smart wearables, when it sees the machines, these smart wearables could be even turned to look at us as well. So which means our privacy is getting compromised. Many times, there's internet-based mechanisms which will allow us to work from anywhere, anytime, on anything, will let our private and official life completely, there is no definite demarcation, the demarcation gets obliterated. So that is another challenge we may face. Many of these wearables can collect images and voice samples which we are not supposed to do. That may create IPR issues. So from a human being standpoint, I see many troubles. From a legal standpoint, if you look at, many times fixing the liability for errors will become a problem because the cyber production systems of multiple production houses will get integrated, which means traceability will become a huge issue. Data privacy is a problem that we may face, as the last speaker was highlighting to us. Eventually, when we look at the data part, again, as I see, many times these smart organizations are rich with the data. They can collude with other companies and try to find out certain differentiation for services and can do differential pricing and try to sell it back to these people, which means the net neutrality will get compromised. Finally, the network reliability, which becomes a major issue, both by the fastness as well as by the security threat. Network reliability will create challenges for us. There has to be definite bandwidth, there has to be a steady bandwidth, there should not be any security holes. Those are all still remaining as dreams, as security holes in these production logic controllers are very obvious. And industrial sabotage also is not a rare story. Finally, this human interface. These are all very complex technologies, very complex in development. Cost will be very high. Now, finally, to understand where is I4.0 as of now standing. The latest statistics says that 10% of the German companies have completed their implementation to a large extent. 6% somewhere in the midway. 2% still thinking about, 18% somewhere in the pathway. That's what it means. So rest, almost 82%, still not even thought about it. So it will take another 10 or 20 years for I4.0 to catch up with all of us. But there's a huge green pasture for all the IT employees seated over here, while realities still remain the same. With that, I conclude my words, handing over the mic to my friend. Thank you.
Are there any questions to the speaker?
What do you think the Industry 4.0 will create an impact in the Indian context? When do you think it can?
Yeah, so as always, Indian industry is something that is slow to catch up, but definitely will catch up. Now, as I said, the complexities are high. We are a reluctant society. So we will wait and watch. We will wait till somebody else does it and enjoys all the mistakes that come out of it. So it will be a fair thing to say that it will be just a decade to wait for Indian companies also to keep pace with the international firms.
Afterwards, another one more decade to implement it.
Yes, of course, for sure.
If there are no other, are there any other questions? Okay, one question.
From my side, this is about, because there are a lot of people here who are either from the product companies or from the services companies providing services in this area. What would be your guidance in terms of taking care of these concerns? What should we as these companies do? Is there any quick thoughts?
Okay. In itself a topic, but I mentioned a couple of themes where the realities are really looking at us and smiling. One of the biggest challenge that we will face as individuals is from the areas of privacy, work-life balance, and IPR issues. As individuals, we are going to face it. Because culturally, we tend to be little weak with concerns of security, concerns about many aspects of work-life balance and privacy. That is going to create a challenge of we Indians as individuals, families as society. That is something which we need to look at. We need to train ourselves. We need to still maintain our posture that whatever the technology be it is, whatever the advantage be it is, ultimately we are human beings. We should maintain our areas where we should not let a privacy breach happen. So it takes time. The social and cultural evolution has to happen. That is why eventually I would prefer to conclude whether I4.0 is a revolution or an evolution. I would leave it for debate. But then, as individuals, we have to evolve. And at some point, we will have to set the boundaries very clear. Otherwise, we will end up as human beings and we will move slightly towards animalistic behaviors.
As a token of gratitude from B-Spin and on behalf of all the participants here, I would like to invite Aarti, our executive committee member and quality leader from RICO, to hand over a small memento. Please accept it.
We are one session away from learning more about Trinetra. I would request you all to stay on and keep up your energy levels high to make it a participative one. Thank you.
Shut in Dallas, no? Texas is in Dallas. Dallas is in Dallas.
Thank you, Pooja. Thank you, Mr. Sajid Jacob, for the session. Moving on to the penultimate session for the day, we have Mr. Anand Paropakari, General Manager, Quality and Delivery Excellence in Persistence, presenting us about disrupting the QMS. My apologies. The next session for the day would be from Mr. Chandrasekhar K, founder and CEO, Forus Health, speak us about eradicating preventable blindness, a digital platform approach. I will take this opportunity to call Mr. Vishweshwara Hegde, partner, PM Power Consulting, to introduce our esteemed speaker. Mr. Vishweshwara Hegde is in the IT industry for 32 plus years and is currently a partner in PM Power Consulting, engineer by profession in electronics and computer science disciplines. He has worked in various organizations like Indian Institute of Science, Aeronautical Development Agency, Motorola, and Mindtree in diverse leadership roles in India and outside. He was a senior VP and part of core management team at Mindtree, taking it from a startup to a 10,000 people global organization. He's a trainer, coach, and consultant on Agile, DevOps, program management, and mindful leadership areas. He is an ardent practitioner of yoga and meditation. His other interests include playing tabla, trekking, exploring ancient wisdom, and bringing them to contemporary management, leadership, and life at large. He has been associated with BSpin since 1993. I request Mr. Vishu to come over to the stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Vibha. It's my pleasure and privilege to introduce Chandrasekhar, founder and CEO of Forus Health. He's an alumnus of BITS Pilani and IIT Kolkata. I am Kolkata. And he was a leader of strategy in NXP before starting his own venture. It's a very interesting story of Forus Health with a very strong mission and a purpose to change lives of people, combined with technology platforms and with an entrepreneurial journey. I would all request you to welcome Chandrasekhar to deliver this springboard session. And normally the springboard session are actually like, the inspiring and the big picture view and even sometimes outside the IT industries. So this is a very apt session where he's combining all the aspects of the larger purpose of driving mission using technology with an entrepreneurial spirit behind that. Chandrasekhar, please.
Good afternoon, all of you. When Mr. Vishu called me to come and deliver this lecture, I was just going through the program and honestly found that I had no relevance in the whole sessions, what I saw. But when I was sitting there and listening to the previous speaker, I could at least find some keywords which we also use in our presentation. So I thought some relevance is there. But I think I want to give you a completely different overview. Maybe this is more mission driven, as Mr. Vishu said. But the idea is how do we look at social problems, use technology, and at the same time, how do we enlarge this to a larger section of people by enabling technology to reach people. So fundamentally, we started Forus Health. So Forus is actually for us. It's for our community. And the idea was to eradicate preventable blindness. So we were inspired by this organization called Aravind Eye Care. Some of you may know about them. They're a world-class organization based out of Madurai. And they have been in this mission of eradicating preventable blindness as a clinician, as a service organization. And we found that we need to play a role because a country like India, you'll be surprised that we hardly have about 20,000 ophthalmologists. So for a 1.3 billion population, we have 20,000 ophthalmologists, which means we have one doctor, eye doctor for 65,000 people. So it's going to be very, very difficult to solve this problem. So we felt that we need to complement these doctors with the help of technology, and that's how Forus Health came into existence. So we started off in 2010. So let me give you a little bit of overview. This slide has got lots of numbers. The idea is not to scare you, but actually give you an overview that there are several problems in the eye. Some names you will know: cataract, diabetic retinopathy, glaucoma, macular degeneration, visual impairment. And all of these numbers are quite mind-boggling. Anything you take, it's all like 300 million, 400 million, 500 million across the world. So it's not a small problem, right? And we need to look at aging population globally, what is happening. And you will also find that, as I told you, that India has about the largest blind population in the world. We have about 15 million people who are blind. And globally it's about 40 million. India is 1/3 the world blind population. But the most ironic thing in this is 80% of this blindness can be prevented or could have been prevented if we would have intervened early. So adding to the lack of doctors on one side, the complexity of this problems become more and more. Just to give you a small overview, I don't know, many of you may not know about eye problems. In the last 10 years prior to that, there were two major issues which were affecting or getting into preventive blindness. One is cataract. So cataract is something where your original lens has opacity, and so you have to remove that and put an artificial lens. And second is refractive errors, the one which you wear glasses. And if you don't correct refractive errors, so uncorrected refractive errors can lead to blindness. So if you go to -7, -8, -10 power, it will lead to blindness in case you don't wear glasses and kind of treat it. Now if you look at both these problems, both of them are very symptomatic problems. So even if you're an illiterate person, you will know that there is something wrong in your eye. In the sense, you may not know what it is, but you'll know that there's something wrong. But in the last 10 years, there is a phenomenal increase in problems, which is like diabetic retinopathy or glaucoma or macular degeneration. And these are non-symptomatic. So even in educated community, you will not know that there is a problem which is happening. And eventually, between the time you discover that there is a problem and you lose vision, it could be like 3 to 6 months. So it's quite a serious problem. So you need to continuously monitor that, screen them, and have an intervention as and when it is required. There's another problem which again a lot of you may not be aware of, and this is called retinopathy of prematurity. This happens on premature babies, right? Now, more and more premature births are increasing globally, and the fact was that most of these babies used to die early because their kidney would have not developed, their lung would have not developed, their heart would have not developed, so the babies used to die. But today, thanks to the government intervention in India and also in other places, we are having government NICUs, private NICUs. So these babies are surviving. So, but this is the good part. So the bad part is when they are in incubators, they get into a problem called hyperoxia, which is receiving excess oxygen, which leads to a problem called retinopathy of prematurity. And the incidence of this is as high as 37 to 54%. So that means every second baby which is premature can eventually have ROP. And the worst part of ROP is the child can go permanently and irreversibly blind within 90 days of its birth. So it is a super serious problem. And the number of premature births are phenomenally increasing. Globally, India has about 3.5 million premature births. Globally, it's about 15 million. And if you take normal babies also, you would have about 5% of the babies having some abnormality. So globally, there is a move to actually do universal screening. So that means when a baby is born, you need to do like 30 tests, of which 2 of them are vision related. So that because they are in a hospital environment, you can screen them, and in case they have a problem, you can treat them. Right? So again, just to scare you more, The world diabetic population is about 422 million today, and this is likely to go to about 600 plus million. That's why I said these are all big numbers. The most very damaging thing is about 45 million of these diabetic patients have vision-threatening problems. They have proliferative retinopathy. So if you are diabetic for more than 5 years, chances of you getting diabetic retinopathy is quite high. So even if your blood sugar is under control, you will still have chances of getting diabetic retinopathy. The percentage is like 25%. So you need to continuously check yourself. So these numbers are going to go. So the more diabetic people are going to survive, the more the chances of retinopathy is going to be. And again, in India, we have like 100 million people who have both pre-diabetic and diabetic, and then undiagnosed is another 80 million. And these 180 million have to be kind of treated and screened by only 1,800 vitreoretinal doctors. So the 20,000 ophthalmologists are general ophthalmologists. When you get into retina, which is the back of your eye, the whole numbers narrows down to about 2,000 doctors, 1,800. So it's a huge problem. So how do we do that? So, and as a protocol, if you are above 40, it's very important for you to get your eyes checked once a year. If you are diabetic, you need to get your eyes checked once in 6 months. And if you are proliferative diabetic retinopathy, you need to get your eyes checked once in 3 months. So you need to screen these 180 million people regularly. I'm just talking India. It's a huge task to do that. So when we started the company in 2010, we first looked at this problem. So we said, okay, these numbers are very big. What is the issue? One is obviously ophthalmologists are very less. Second was all these problems were treated in a hospital, right? And in a hospital, when you go, you will, there's a process called dilation. So they put some drops on your eye and you can't do anything for the next 4 hours. So you sit there, irrespective of whether you like or not. Now, they also have very expensive equipment which takes photograph of your retina, which is back of your eye. I'll show you some retina photos just to see what it is. So the problem is you need to go there, spend time, and these equipments were very expensive. They also required very specialized people to use it. So that was the kind of scenario. So the equipment were somewhere in the 25-30 lakh range. So it is not even every ophthalmologist had it, right? So what we thought at that time was that, okay, because we are technical people, let's try and solve this problem using technology. So the idea was, okay, let's make an equipment. So what should we make? So we should make an equipment which will do undilated imaging of the eye. So which means I can take a photograph of your eye within the next 2 minutes or 1 minute without dilating. So which will actually allow preventive care to happen. Because if I go to a village and say that I'm going to check you for diabetic retinopathy and you need to spend the next 4 hours here, nobody is going to do that because they might as well lose their vision rather than losing half-day wage. So it's not something which people like. The second thing is you need to have something which can be used by somebody from the community itself. Why? The goal is not actually to make a device. The goal is to eradicate preventable blindness. And how can you do that?